Well, hello YouTube. How are you all doing today? Figured I'd start answering some questions that I've been getting lately. One of which is, how did I end up in a wheelchair? The truth about the matter is, I was shot back in 1996. The man that I was living with at the time was an alcoholic, and a severe one at that. Also, he was very depressed all the time. And he was an abuser. Boast of substance, alcohol, and me. It wasn't the first police call that the police had been called on me. He tried to beat me up one day and poke my eye out, which is why I've got a constant throbbing in this eye. And there's been some other things that have happened. But luckily none in front of my children. I'm lucky that way, at least, I guess. I don't know if I consider it lucky, but anyway. That's how I got shot. I was coming home one day, or should I say, who shot me? I was coming home one day from work. I was a butcher at the time. Still am, but just not a practicing butcher because you can't do that from a wheelchair. Nothing gets totally clean. So, what I do is I try to help people by doing counseling, off the books, just, finding people that they tell you their story and you're like, did you get help? And stuff like that. I try to do my best. I'm a grandmother now, yay. My granddaughter is almost the age of my son when I got shot, which I'm so glad to be a grandmother, and it hurts so much to know that I left that little delicate flower in the position that I left them in. No wonder the kids have had so many problems. But that's what you do when you make mistakes. Again, I came home from work. He had given me $1,000 the day before to supposedly get things, still keep my lights on and my rent paid and stuff. And, because I asked him that day, I said, man, I'm not going to protect you if the police come calling for you, and they're going to, because he was running from the police. He was supposed to be on work, whatever that is, where you go to work and still be in jail. And he left. He just walked off. And so he wanted me to pay the rent and to wait for him to call me. And then I was supposed to go to Colorado and we were going to be together. And I told him I could not do that. I could not leave my kids. And there was a whole big thing that went with the night I got shot. He asked me where the money was. I told him that I'd given it to a girlfriend for safekeeping, and I had. And he wanted me to call her and get the money back. So there's a 9mm in the meantime and a .45 sitting on the table. And I asked him what he was going to do, and he said, I'm going to shoot and kill you, then shoot and kill myself. And we'll meet up on the other side. Can you let me go get a beer out of the refrigerator before you do all this? Sure, go ahead, no problem. If I went to the bathroom, he went in there with me. If I came out, he was with me. I didn't know quite at that time what I was going to do. So I had decided, what harm would it be to call 911? So I called 911 without him even watching me. And I told him. He was saying, did you get hold of her? Da-da-da-da-da. He shot the gun into a gas stove. And the lady who was on the line with me asked me if that was a gunshot. And I said, yes, it is. And I was trying to act like I was talking to her. Well, she told me to stay on the phone while I was trying to talk to them, but at the time I couldn't keep the lie up. So what I did was I said goodbye to her and I kicked the phone underneath the couch. That's what saved my ass that night. And he unbeknownst to him, the cops show up and he's like going to shoot one of them through the door. And I'm like, no, don't do that. And the guy comes to the door and goes, Macy, are you okay? Because they done knew me. And I was like, well, no. And I told him, I said, but you need to back up. And he's like, why? And I told him there was a gun pointed at his head. And there was no need both of us getting hurt. So he backed up. He said, I will be back. And I didn't realize it. And there were cops all the way around the trailer we were living in. And there was paramedics out there. And there were helicopters flying around. I don't remember any of this. I don't remember hearing helicopters. Apparently the news was there. It was a big deal. Everybody knew about it. And he ended up because the police told me, they said, I can't get to you. He's got all these newspapers on all the windows. They couldn't get a clean shot and be for sure that it was him and not me. And every time I'd go to the door, he would get me in front of him and then have the gun pointed toward their heads. So that went on for hours and hours, it seemed like. And it probably wasn't, but it just seemed that way. And I went to run out the front door at 11:30. Those were the last steps I ever took. December 1969. No, 1969. 1996. At 11:30, and it was on the 14th. And those were the last steps I ever took. He called out my name. I looked behind me. He shot me, took 3 steps back, and shot and killed himself. I don't understand what happened. I don't understand the logic. I don't think there was any logic in it. It left my children with a mother that was in a wheelchair. It left me in a wheelchair, having to help raise 2 beautiful boys. It left my ex-husband in a position of now it's all on him and trying to live his life the best way he could. I mean, there were a lot of people involved in what that one shooting did. There was a police officer that came to my house and asked me would I talk to one of the rookies, because that was the first call he had ever been on, and I got shot and he had to watch it. And he wasn't sure he wanted to be a police officer anymore. So I told them that yes, I would talk to him. And he came over to the house. I said, I heard you're getting ready to go back to the academy. He said, yeah. He said, I don't know. This is for sure going to be what I need to be doing. I can't do it. And I told him, I said, well, think of it this way. If it weren't for you and your colleagues being there, I for sure would have died that night. But because you were there, because you could get me the help I needed, I'm still alive. At the time I was in my 30s, but I'm 54 years old now. And I'm still trying to get people to understand that domestic violence doesn't just affect one person. It affects the entire family. Whether it be good or bad, it doesn't matter. It affects everyone. And that's the one thing that I want to get clear. And number 2, another thing that I've been asked is, about the being in a wheelchair and how did I actually get to terms with it. I don't know, unless you're born in a wheelchair, if you ever truly get to terms with it. But you learn that this is your new normal. That's all I can say, is this is a new normal. And my mother never let me feel sorry for myself. And God love her. I've since lost my mom and dad both. But they wanted me to know that this was not a pity party. This was no way that, in no how, was I going to be throwing myself the rest of my life a pity party. No. My mom gave me one day to feel sorry for myself, and next thing I know, she's like, now get in that wheelchair and go, girl. And that's what I did. I mean, you do what your mama tells you, right? But, yeah, and again, if y'all have any questions, I don't know that there's any footage of this out there. I doubt it. But, I lived in Indiana, and any footage of this would have came from Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah. I have since married one of the kindest, most gentlest creatures on this planet, which is my husband, Woody. And he has never spoken above a whisper to me. He gives me the opportunity to be myself, and he also gives me space to have bad days. And that's a good thing, because when you're in a wheelchair, you're going to have a few bad days. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know how I ended up here, and that it's okay to ask me questions. I'm fine with it. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any questions about what it's like now, I might be able to show you some things, like how I get in and out of bed, how I get in and out of a shower, how I get off on a toilet. It's just stuff that you really don't know about, that people have questions. And especially families that are taking care of newly in wheelchair people. They need to know these things so that they can learn how to help their loved ones. So if you have any questions, or you need me to talk specifically to a problem, let me know, and I will definitely put it on this webpage and you can refer back to it. But like I said, 24 years I've been in this wheelchair, and I'm doing a little better than most, but not as good as some. So the next time I talk to you all, hopefully it'll be on a more pleasant subject. And until I see you next time, I guess this is Macy signing off.